and I am going through. Yeah.
So it's 11:15 still it's not coming up.
Yeah, I have actually increased 5 more minutes. Okay, because sometimes you say, I'm late, this, that, so I've increased. Now you keep checking.
So it will start at 11:20, then 20 minutes till
11:20,
11:40.
11:20, 11:20. Okay, I've
Okay,
changed.
till 11:40, right?
Yes, 20 minutes
Okay.
there. I told you, no? So
Okay.
you probably you have seen in your Excel sheet. Last time I've said the Excel sheet, right? So everything is mentioned there. What time you logged into the system, what time you left. So everything is there. So now you can accordingly you answer. Okay, 20 minutes you take. Whether you got 20 minutes or not, we'll see. Anyone have seen your question paper?
Not yet, sir. Not yet open.
Okay, just wait. So it is internet time. Okay. In my computer, it is now 11:20. Okay. So it is not taking. That means it is based upon a global time. Okay. Maybe there will be 1 or 2 minutes of offset. Yes, I think it is opened. Okay, now you can start your exam. Students, start your exam. It's opening. Anyone facing problem?
Sir, where it was, sir, like,
Anyone is facing problem?
sir, on my like computer it was not seen.
What?
Sir, on my system it was not seen. In which section it was?
I know you see in the post.
Yeah, sir, I've just seen that. Yeah.
You click on that. It will open now.
Sir, in website it says opening,
Sir, it was
but in the
join
MS
also,
Team
sir,
it
but
won't open.
like in post there is nothing called.
अरे there is class test advanced software engineering class test लिखा हुआ है post
Class
में
test to advanced, yes sir.
हाँ,
Sir, in the
class
website it is opening, but in MS Team it won't open.
अरे when you click that it will be taking you whether it will open there. If it is not opening then it will open through website also.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
Finish the exam, you can submit.
Sir,
Hmm.
I had some questions regarding some of the solutions given. Can I discuss after the exam has ended for everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, end time is 11:40, na?
11:40. Yes. So you have another 4 to 5 minutes. So according to my time, it is 4 minutes left. Okay. So plan to submit if you have done. Submit your responses. It's a last minute. Time is approaching. Submit, all of you. Submit, otherwise it will not take. Students, quickly do it, otherwise it will not take.
Hello, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, it is not taking at 11:40
Not,
only.
I will not give this time. I'm regularly telling you last 2 minutes before. Why I will take? It's your mistake.
Sir, it's 11:40.
No, 11:14 already done. 11:40 is over. I will not take your exam. I'm
Sir,
telling you
sir.
regularly.
Sir, it's 11:40, sir. I'm submitting. It's not submitting, sir.
yes, sir.
Yes.
I just
So
clicked
it
on
has
submit.
been over. Time is over. Why it will take?
Sir,
This,
sir, I want to
don't
submit.
see any mistake. System is doing accurately. It is giving only 20 minutes. So I'm quickly giving you to 1 minute. So you just upload. Otherwise, I will not take. Regularly, I'm telling you. Yes, submit quickly. I have updated. Okay. No, despite I'm telling you regularly, yeah. So there is a last minute, last minute. Why you are taking so much? It is not taking. It will not take. How it will take if the time is over? You should understand. Don't know.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, I'm unable to submit. I was trying from.
So you give another exam. Okay. The next exam I will consider your marks. I do not know. Okay. If it is that, why you didn't tell me that 11:39? You
Sir,
should have told
because I
me.
left the team. I have just joined it again in 2 minutes.
Why you left
Sir,
the
but
team?
now it says that my response has already been submitted. Can you please check and tell me if the answers are submitted?
Yeah, everything is there in the Excel sheet. What time you submitted, when you logged in, all those things, information are there. I'll
Sir,
consider.
my
I'll
answers are recorded or not? I just wanted to know. Can you please tell me?
Yes, if I got the responses, if that is there, that means it is done. Okay.
But I didn't get my marks.
Yes, tell me.
Morning, sir. Sir, my name is Bias Bhadro. So,
Hmm.
I am a student of executive PhD batch. So,
Hmm.
I have given this test, but was this test for us also?
Yes, yes, it is for everyone.
Okay.
It
So,
is a teacher.
sir,
This is part of teacher assessment. Okay, in the very beginning. So there is a 20 marks. That is there. So teacher is going to give you, okay, out of 20. So I am carrying out certain number of tests on all these overall tests. So I will give some marks. Okay. So try to see the performance in my class. Okay, how you are performing. Okay. So that
Sir,
is
I
what.
just like to know if my answers are recorded because I didn't get any marks or any page of submission.
You see, I do not know, but I have given another time. So just to entertain students. So if it is there, what is your name?
Sheetal. SHEETAL.
Your roll number is
CS 1032.
1032. Yes, it's submitted.
Okay.
Sir,
Hmm.
can I ask my doubts now? Sir, one question was, which of the following are the limitations of iterative waterfall life cycle? In the correct answer is given that strict adherence to the waterfall model creates the blocking state, but that was the limitation of the waterfall model. Iterative model to overcomes that using overlapping states, so that should not be the limitation of iterative model.
Just let me see. What is that question? Was the question number you are saying? Okay. Which of the following are the limitations of
Iterative waterfall life cycle model?
Right. So then what is the problem?
So strict adherence to the waterfall model blocking state, that point shouldn't be a limitation because iterative model overcomes that limitation using overlapping states.
Why?
But sir, it was mentioned when we started iterative model that it improves upon the
Why it is wrong? Why you think that it is wrong? Strict adherence to waterfall model. I said this is whatever the strict adherence to waterfall model. Okay, because iterative waterfall is also a waterfall model based. Okay, so I said you assume with same sort of waterfall model, right? So it creates that sort of blocking states.
But iterative does have overlapping states, so how does blocking state
Yes,
work?
sir, it will create blocking state. Actually, in the iterative, we have only.
So it is only in the iterations only what it will take. It will take only if any bugs are there, then you will be going right. You going back, right? So it is also based upon a waterfall life cycle model only. Iterative is also based on waterfall life model only, life cycle model only. So if I say waterfall model, it's not wrong, right? Because the terms comes here is a waterfall model, not the iterative. You think that it is a mistake. No, it's not like it's a correct only.
Okay, sir. So one more thing, and in prototyping model, how
which question? Question number.
In mine it is 10 that at all times the documentation of a software product must be complete, correct, and up to date.
Up to date. Let's just give me a minute. Yes. What you are saying?
Sir,
At all times, the documentation of a software product must be complete, correct, and up to date. Okay. So reasons are क्या problem है इसमें?
Sir, can
Understand?
you explain why large turnover in personnel in the software industry is a reason?
Which point? Under fourth point? Or
Yes, a large turnover in personnel in
first
software.
point. Under that question, you are saying first point, large turnover in personnel in software industry. Okay. So what happens today? You develop the software, right? Today you develop the software and you know you have not created any documents, okay, and you left out the company and you joined some other company because of you getting more money, right? Maybe today you are associated with IBM, tomorrow you say that I get better package with Cognizant, so I go and join. Okay, so you have joined, you switched off. I mean, you changed your job. So now the software that you developed and that was not documented, now the other one who is recruited on behalf of you and he is going to carry out, right? So now what will happen? If you do not have these documents complete and correct and up to date, what will happen? The other guy who is taking up your work will not be able to finish up. So that's the reason why. So large turnover in personnel in the software industry is also one reason. Any doubt?
Sir, why? I mean, I still don't understand. Like, even if there wasn't a large turnover and someone came in my place, that problem would still exist, that he wouldn't be able to understand what I did without the presence
Yes,
of document.
that is the reason why you are saying that the question you read. The first question kya hai? At all times, the documentation of a software product must be complete, correct and up to date. डॉक्यूमेंट अप टू डेट होना चाहिए, कंप्लीट होना चाहिए, करेक्ट भी होना चाहिए. जो डॉक्यूमेंट क्रिएट हो रहा है, वट एवर द एसआरएस डॉक्यूमेंट वी आर क्रिएटिंग, दैट शुड बी कंप्लीट, करेक्ट एंड अप टू डेट होना चाहिए. इफ दे आर नॉट अप टू डेट, व्हाट विल हैपन? Because of these people switching from one company to the other company, which will create a lot of problem for the company. समझ में आया?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Any other doubt?
Sir,
marks, please.
Sir, one question.
So can I please know my marks?
One by one. Ask me. Okay. So yeah,
Sir, can
Yes.
I get my marks? You saw that my response is recorded.
Okay. Yeah, I will tell you. I'll give you. I'll give you all marks. Okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about the marks now. Okay. So you have given your exam. Yeah. Right. I will give.
Sir, I just think maybe my response was submitted before I could answer somehow. I don't know. That's why I want to know.
Yes, fine. Anyway, okay. So if somebody is not giving, after a long time, 1 minute I have given it.
No, sir. I think my somehow it got submitted before I ticked all the answers.
Okay.
Sir, one more question.
Oh yes.
Sir, is specification and constraint considered as two different things, basically?
Specification and
constraint.
Yes, constraints are the constraints. Okay, specification means so part of specification you have many things, right? So what you are going to specify was the question. Okay, what are the things that you will be going to specify usually in a part of SRS? So what? So you have some design constraints as well.
Yes, sir.
Right. Any more doubt? Right. So I think I should switch on to my lecture. Switch over to my lecture. So we have stopped at some point, right? Acha, after this lecture, at what time your lecture starts again?
One, sir.
One. So I can continue another 5 to 10 minutes because of this discussion. Okay. So you should, so not more than that, 5 to 10 minutes I'll take because I have to finish this topic, right? So the last topic that we have taken.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please give an example how model is used for problem definition?
Model is used for?
Model-oriented approach is used for problem definition. Like for requirements analysis, you gave the PPT for that. But how model-oriented approaches are used for problem definition? Can you please give an example for that?
Can you tell me from which question you are getting that doubt? Which question? Where?
Oh, and
15, sir.
15. No. You tell me the question. I mean, little bit. You tell me about the question. Read out.
Model-oriented approaches are suited to use in which of the following phases?
तो ये तो कल ही बात किया था लास्ट लेक्चर में ही एंड यू आर गेटिंग कंफ्यूज्ड मॉडल ओरिएंटेड कहाँ पे था वो क्वेश्चन नंबर हमारे यहाँ पे Model oriented approaches are more suited to use in which of the following phases. So I told you before also in the during my lecture when we were talking about property oriented and model oriented, I told you so the property oriented approaches are more suited for requirement specification because of it has conjunctions as well as so some axioms, right, through which later on you can modify. Let's say at later point of time if any requirements come, so or you wanted to have modifications, so that can modify easily. But if you so now these sort of things will not be happening during the later phases. Later phases means the other than requirements, okay, requirement analysis and problem definition. So problem definition usually before the requirement definitions, right? So mostly we'll be applying this thing to design and coding, right? Your doubt is clear? Who asked this question? Is it clear to you, whatever the question you asked? Can you hear me, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, who asked that question? Okay, so anyway, we'll continue with the lecture. So after that, you can personally call me over my phone and also if you want to discuss further, right? So we'll start now the lecture because so Right, we stopped at this, how to develop axiomatic or something. Is it this? I think we have discussed these slides, right? We have discussed about algebra specification, right? We were discussing about how to develop algebraic specifications, right? So I think we have stopped at this point in the last lecture, right? So now I continue from here. So so the very first step in defining any algebraic specification is to identify the set of required operations, right? You need to identify what are different operations, right? So let's say, for example, you wanted to specify any string. So usually different operations that can be carried can be done over a string will be create, compare, concatenate, length of a particular string. These are the various operations that can be that can be associated to the class string. Okay. Now, so generally operations fall into two classes. Okay, so they can be of constructor operation or they can be of inspection. Okay, so we further we can see few more kinds also, but as of now you can think of, so there is a constructor operation. Through constructor operations, what do you try to do? Either you try to create or modify entities. Okay, that means you so through these operations you can easily create an object or an entity, or you can update an entity. Let's say the operations like this: create method. Okay, so or update method, or you add method. So these are all different operations which usually either create or modify entities. Okay, but there is an operation called inspection operation, which evaluate attributes of the sort, evaluate, get, so this sort of thing, right? That means wherever these sort of operations will be usually used to see the state of that particular object. Okay, I mean currently at that particular time, what is the value? Okay, so that means you wanted to know the value of a particular object at that particular point of time. That means you are not going to modify that particular entity, just you are going to examine that particular entity, what sort of value it carries at that point of time. So these sort of operations. So so we categorized here two types. Okay, constructor operations, inspection operators. Okay, so usually, so if you know any object oriented programming languages like C++ or Java, so there you can easily understand. So constructors as well as some methods through which you update the values of an object, so they are all part of constructor operations. Okay, and the operations like so get methods, right? Get the salary, employee, get the details of a salaried employee. Okay, so something like this. So whenever you wanted to examine or you wanted to know some information, right? So usually use those sort of methods, right? So a rule of thumb for writing algebraic specification: first establish constructor inspection operation. That means you need to first identify these two operations, and then you need to start writing. Okay, so then you write down axioms. Okay, so there are some so you need to find out, as I told you before, when you're going through any specifications, you need to say what are the different operations, along with which you need to mention some axioms. Okay, so compose each inspection operator over each constructor operator. So now what you try to do here, part of these axioms, usually whatever the inspection operations that you have developed, okay, you try to apply those inspection operators, operations on the constructor operations. Okay, so let's say you have a two constructor methods or the operations or the functions. Okay, now you have three, let's say you have three inspection operations. Now you will be applying all of the three inspection operations onto those constructor operations. Okay, you will be applying. So that is what you try to write down, part of axioms. Okay, so we'll see through an example, then you will be able to understand this if you do not understand it up now. If there are m constructors, n inspection operators, so usually you should normally have m into n axioms, as I told you, because three inspection operations if you have, and you have two constructor operations. So usually, so you will be applying all these 3 into 2. So usually 3 into 2, it's a 6. So usually you have 6. However, an exception to this rule exists. So maybe sometimes, you can, it can reduce also. Okay. If a constructor operation can be defined using other constructors, okay, so that can also be possible. We need to define inspection operation using only primitive constructors. Okay. So yeah, any doubts so far? Someone is going to ask. Can you? Is there any doubt? Okay, right. So now, so what's exactly the problems of these, so another examples here comes here is the problem of these specifications. So that's a over specification. So the problem is very over specification, right? So one problem can be, you can see when you trying to, represent some logical things into a physical representation. Okay, so you try to see some sort of problem. So now one problem here is a Y2K problem. Anyone tell me what is the Y2K problem? Can anyone tell me what is the problem? Y2K problem?
Sir, when the year 2000 came, then when the year 2000 came, then the dates will be 00 at the end, as 2000 ends with 00. Right. So this was a big problem.
So because the year will become 00, so why it's a problem now then?
Sir, as 00 can means year 0 or 1900 or 2000. So there can be multiple interpretation. So for banks it is a very big problem. Some may be charged with interest or maybe 1,000 years.
Okay,
yes.
Ajay,
so it was a big problem.
Okay. So right. So Y2K problem is that we try to represent our calendar year in 2 digital terms. Okay, instead of 4, so we represent 2. Okay, so 01 means it was meant that 1900 01. Okay, so when you say 2 means 1902, it's like that. Okay, so after 99, so we have 00. Okay, so when you write 00, so in actually what we mean was it should be 2000, right? 20 followed by 2 zeros. Okay, so there should be 2 zeros after the 20, right? So now as a result, we unable to distinguish these two numbers, 1900 and 2000. Okay, because we represent the year by 2 digital numbers, right? So that was the Y2K problem. Everywhere the people face that. The computers, whoever, the systems which are developed based upon these calendar dates, okay, may get crashed. Okay, that was the problem, right? So I mean 2000, after 1900, when you see 00, so usually what will happen? It represent 1900, but that means you are going 100 years back, right? But what we meant was it should be 2K. That means 2000. Okay, so that was not actually. I mean, this is the problem with our specification. So we have not specified properly. That's the reason why there's a problem. The same way that can be lead to a postal code also. If the code, whenever so these are sort of problems that are associated. When you going to have something physical representation of any logical ideas. Okay. Now you can think of, so usually we going through all these abstractions, right? So that means when you are going through some sort of abstraction, that means you left out different representations. Let's say, for example, scope for multiple representations. Let's say now you can see stack. Stack can be implemented as an array, or it can be implemented as a list using list. Okay, so this can be implemented using anything. Okay, so today, let's say you wanted to implement the stack using array. So tomorrow you wanted to implement this using a list, or you wanted to implement using maybe linked. I mean, list means here the linked list we're talking about, right? So now, so I mean, so when you say stack, so it's an abstract, right? So that is the reason why it is an abstract data type. So whenever you say any abstract data types, usually we specify what are different operations it can have, okay, or what are its data items. Okay, that's only mentioned, right? But how it is going to be implemented, those things are not there, right? That implementation will be left to the the people who are going to implement later on. So now whenever there are some multiple interpretations, usually, so now there is a scope of errors. Okay, so but when you are specifying, so usually you specifying in terms of its abstract. Okay, any doubts so far? Right. So why you are moving towards all of as of now towards the abstraction, right? View an object by its operation, not by its representation. Okay, so that is what. So we try to see what operations it has, but we are not going through its implementation details. Okay, as of now. So now you can see an example, principle of selfishness. Let's say you see this example, you will be able to understand better. So if I'm thirsty, like if you are thirsty, whenever an orange is given to you, okay, or orange is shown to you, okay. So whenever you feel thirsty, that time you feel that you should squeeze that particular orange, right? But if you are a painter, at that point of view, at that point of time, what you will think? I mean, definitely it is you will think about a color which might inspire your palette. Okay, because you are a painter. Okay, if you are a farmer, then what do you think? So you think that I need to produce this fruit, okay, that can be sold in the market. Okay, but if you none of these, let's say you are not a thirsty man, if you are not a painter, and if you are not a farmer, and now you have been shown that particular orange, so then what will happen? Because you do not have any other use for that particular orange. That means we should not talk about that particular orange. I mean, we do not know what the orange is. So according to you, so orange doesn't exist. Okay, do you understand? Now it all based upon, right? So whenever something given the abstractions, okay, so there are these sort of problems, right? So that operation can be implemented according to your needs. Okay, according to your needs, right? So this is what the principle associated with any sort of abstraction, right? And we trying to model these all, as I told you, part of these specifications, we try to mathematically model, right? So what you are trying to do, whatever the input space that you have, you trying to translate all of these input space onto a output space, okay, by a function. So f of I is equal to O. That means you take some input space and you try to convert into an output space. Okay. So when you mathematically, so in this, let's say you are going to mathematically specify this requirements or any specification, right? So you can see here, so it's a mathematical object. The program, whatever you see there, is a mathematical object, and it is also using a language, right? Language means it is also using a language, right? So now you can see here, I mean, there is some sort of language, right? If you say f of I, okay, that means it represents something, it represents a function, right? So that means it is also using a language, okay? And it has also a semantics, right? If f of I is equal to O, so that means it is a meaning, right? So there is a function f which takes some input and it is giving some output, right? So as similar to any program, Okay, so where you also see there are some statements in a programming language, right? You write certain statements meaningfully. I mean, you maintain the semantics and syntax of that particular program, then only the program gets executed, right? So similarly here is also, right? Therefore, we can prove certain properties about it. So now if all of these functions are given in this way, then you can easily prove certain properties, right? So that means what the software do it is supposed to do, or what is it is doing that is not supposed to do. Okay, those things can be checked out. Okay, that means when you give input, it is giving output, right? So that means you can easily check, right? So what that particular function is doing for you, okay, for that particular software, right? So it will help us to prove this. Okay, so that's a benefit of mathematical things. Now you can see there is an example for this is IO assertions, right? Input output assertions. Now this can be taken, it takes in the form of S, P, Q. You can think. So let's say P here is the program. Okay, P here is the program. Before this P gets executed, okay. So if S holds, okay, if S holds, then so after P gets executed, Q must hold, going to hold. Okay, so this is what exactly, some sort of so you apply some sort of assertions, right? So that means you apply some assertions onto the input. Okay, you apply some assertions onto the output. So here the S is the input, Q is the output. So there are certain conditions. Assertions means usually you apply some conditions. Okay, so there are P conditions and post conditions, right? You apply those things onto a program. Now this same thing can be seen through in this example. Now you see here sum is equal to 0. So for I is equal to 1 to n, sum is equal to sum plus AI. So AI may be an array here. Okay, so it takes some values. A of A1 means it is some value is added unto the sum, right? Now you going to calculate some sum of some numbers, right? Maybe the sum of numbers that are there in an array indexing from I to n. Okay, indexing from I to n. Okay, now what is now the precondition here is what? So the sum should be 0. And what is the post condition? Post condition means the sum of all values. Okay, the sum variable should have the summation of all values. So now this is the pre and this is the post and this is the program. Okay, so before the program execution, you should ensure that the variable sum should contain only 0. Okay, after execution, the sum should have the summation of values. So this is the way that you can think of, right? So how we are going to specify. So this is also an example, right? So what does a abstract data type consist of? Usually it contains types. Okay, so I mean you will be characterizing whatever the different objects that are there. Okay, so I mean you need to specify that particular type. So that is simply a declaration. So for example, if you write something like this printing device, okay, you're giving a name. Okay, so this may be a type. Okay, this may be a type for your class. Okay, that means from this you can easily understand that it is a printing device. Okay, that means the type of that particular device is a printing device. So this is a type. Okay, you need to specify first the type of the objects or entities. Okay, now definition of type of the object is going to be laid out. So this is what should be laid out first part of types. Okay, so usually your abstract data type consists of several sections. So the first section here is types. Okay, where you try to lay down the type of the object it is. Okay, and it can be a parameterized type. That means it can take so these types again can be of two types. Okay, maybe it is a parameterized type or it is a raw type. Okay, parameterized type means where you mentioning the type of a list of integers. Let's say you talking about a stack. Okay, so stack can be stack can hold a list of integers, or stack can hold a list of float numbers. A stack can hold certain number of entities, right? whose types are there. So that means a list of, wherever you talk about any list, so that is what we call as parameterized type. And raw type means it's a very raw type of data. I mean, you can see, let's say for example, someone want to say the type is a date. Date can be also a type. Okay, so it is usually a user defined data type. Okay, it is usually a user defined data type, right? So that means, so a date instance can contain that date. Okay. So now, so part of this abstract data types, the next section here is operations. Okay. So what are different operations they are applicable to this particular instance? Okay. So now you can see one operation can be a push operation. Okay. So what the push operation takes? So it takes an element G of type maybe something G, okay, G type, okay, and a stack of type G, okay, that means so the stack of type G means a stack of integers, okay, you can think of, right? So it takes an element of type G and a stack of type G, okay, it takes an element of type G, okay, and which is going to return a stack. That means you have an integer stack which onto that particular stack you want to push a integer value. Okay, so when you push a integer value, what it will return? So it will return again a stack with that particular item, right? There is a stack onto which you have pushed an element. So ultimately it is going to return a stack again, a stack, right? And that stack contains this new element that you pushed onto. Okay, now, so these operations can be of multiple types. As I before I told you, there are two types, right? Creator and inspection. But I make it further here. So there are 4 types again. Okay, little elaborations. Okay, so the creator operations are the ones which usually create new instances. Example, you going to create a new date or a stack. Okay, so that means it is very similar to your constructors. So whenever the constructors gets executed, usually you create a new instance, right, with some initialized values, right? Maybe you have a constructor, whenever you create any sort of object, so you wanted to initialize those objects, so usually you use constructors, right? So similarly here also, that means you are going to construct a new object. Okay, queries. So some operations are of query type. That means they are all inspection types. Okay, so usually you are going to extract the state. Okay, what data currently that particular instance contains at that particular point of time. Okay, you want to read the data or you wanted to manipulate the state also. They can be also part of query operations, right? And then command operation. Command operations are the ones through which you are going to setting the date. That means you want so let's say there are some operations like set operations. Set this method. Okay, setters and getters usually we say in case of any object oriented programming language, right? So setter are the methods through which you trying to set the value. Okay, getters are the ones through which you going to get the value. So getters are part of query operations. Okay, and setters are the part of command operations. Okay, so that means through which you are going to set the value of a particular object, that right? And there are some partial functions or the operations. Okay, partial operation type. So what these are? So cannot apply these under certain conditions. Okay, so that means unless or until some conditions are met, then only these operations will be used or applied. Otherwise it will not apply. Okay, so those sort of operations will be called as partial. Let's say let us assume pop operation. Okay, so when you talk about a pop operation, okay, so if the let's say if you have an empty stack, can you pop an element from the empty stack? No, because that doesn't contain any element, right? So you cannot pop any element if the stack is empty, right? But you trying to pop, then what will happen? There will be an exception. Okay, there will be exceptions. Okay, so now, so the condition here is first you will need to check whether the stack is empty or not. If the stack is empty, then you cannot pop. Okay, if the stack is not empty, that means the element is there, then only you can apply this pop function. That means, so under certain conditions only these operations apply. Okay, now similarly you can see push operation also, right? If the stack is full, so you cannot push an element into the stack. If you push, then what will happen? So there will be an overflow. That means that element will be cannot be pushed into the stack. So there will be one exception. Okay, so before that you need to check whether the stack is full or not before you going to push. So these sort of operations are part of partial operations. So now you can categorize, these are all different operations into various operations, right? So now what I see here, you can check. So we'll go through this example and then we'll stop. Okay, so now we are going to specify a stack abstract data type. Okay, we are going to specify a stack abstract data type, right? So first I told you, first section what it contains, it's the type of that particular object. You need to specify the type of its object. Okay, so what is the type? Now you going to specify that it is a stack whose type is G, whose type is D. Okay, so here you specified the object. Okay, you have mentioned out the type of the object. Okay, so what is the type of the object here? It's a stack with G type. Okay, that means it's a stack. If you say instead of G, if I say integer, then what will happen? It is a stack of integer elements. Okay, instead of G, if I instead of integer, if I say float, then it will become a stack of float values, right? So now you have mentioned the type of the stack. Okay, what is the type of that particular object? Okay, then you have certain operations. What are the operations? Let's say one operation you have is a new stack. Okay, new stack. Okay, so what is the new stack is going to do? So it is going to create a stack. Okay, new stack of type G. Okay, now the other operation can be, it can be a push. Okay, so what you are trying to do, there is a stack of G type. Okay, onto which you are going to push an element of type G. Okay, then what will return? It will return again a stack of G. Okay, that means there is a stack onto which you push an element G and which is going to return a stack again of G, type G. Okay, so that is a push operation. Okay, so usually, so we use non-declarative or non-imperative style of programming. Okay, so that is what exactly we use in abstract data types. Okay, so declarative type means you understand, right? So in C programming language, so you use, like, let's say for example, you wanted to print a string. You wanted to print a string. What do? You simply write printf, and within that you say hello world. So automatically it is going to display you out. That means you have a declaration, right? So that is, you have there is a something called you have everything. Okay, I mean the program is already, there is a build, what you say, there is a way to include certain functions onto your program, right? And you have declared that particular function, so that function is taking care of all these things, how it is going to display those strings onto the display. Okay, you are not doing anything. What you are doing is you are just using a printf statement, right? So that means there are actually declarative style of programming they do. Okay, but here what we are doing is we are not following those sort of declarative type of things. Okay, so everything you are mentioning out here. So push operation takes two parameters, so existing stack, an element, and it returns other stack, not manipulating the existing stack. Here we are not manipulating that particular stack. Okay, so this operation through which what do we do? So you try to push an element into the stack, and which is going to return you again a stack. Okay, now let's say there is a pop operation. Okay, so here what you do? So when you want to pop an element from the stack, Okay, so usually the top element of the stack. Okay, so the top element of the stack will be popped out, right? So what you need, you have operation pop. Okay, so you just giving the stack. Okay, when you giving a stack to the pop operation as a input, so what it is returning, it is going to return a stack only, because the top element will be removed and then again the stack will be returned. The stack containing the rest of the elements will be returned. Okay. Now let's say somebody wants to know what is the top element of that particular stack. What is the top element of that particular stack? He wants to know, right? In the top of the stack, what value it contains. You wanted to know. So in that case, you have a top operation. Okay. So you giving the stack. So then ultimately it is returning an element of type G. That means it is returning an element, not the stack. Okay, it is, let's say that top of the stack contains value 10, so it will return value 10. Okay, so that means it's a type, right? So similarly, now there can be a query operation also. Now query operations are, I told you, the query operations are the ones through which you try to see the state of that particular object. Okay, at that particular point of time. Okay, so that means that let's say there is a is empty. Okay, whether the stack is empty or not, this is a query. I mean, you wanted to inspect, you wanted to check. Okay, what is that stack contains at that particular point of time, whether the stack is empty or it contains some element. So in that case, what you need to do, so when you give the stack, so this is empty operation will return a value boolean. Okay, so it says that it's a true or false, if whether the stack is empty or not. Okay, it will say true or false. Okay, do understand? Now we have mentioned out the type of the stack, and we have also certainly some operations. Okay, for that particular abstract data type. And now the precondition can be of this. Okay, so precondition is what? So you wanted to check. Okay, before that operation is, before you wanted to carry out that particular operation, you going to check out certain things. Okay, so based upon that, so now precondition ke liye the operation can be of pop. Okay, so what is that pop operation? Now let's say before you apply this pop operation, okay, so first thing is that you are going to check whether the stack is empty or not. If it is empty, if it is true, so then what? You cannot pop. Okay, right? If it is not empty, then only you can pop an element. Okay, that means the stack is, if the stack contains false, if the empty stack is false. Okay, so that means, so I mean you cannot pop an element when the stack is empty. Okay, that is what it all says. Okay, the precondition is like this. Okay, now you can see some axioms, as I told you. So axioms are the ones, so you have certain operations. Okay, you have some inspection operations and you have some creator operations. Now you apply all of these inspection operations onto the creator operations, right? So one inspection operation here is empty. Now what is empty is applied onto the creator operation. So creator operation here is what? New stack. So through new stack you can create a new stack, right? Usually through this operation you can create a new stack. When you apply, so what it says, so you apply this new stack operation onto is empty. Okay, so what it is going to return? Definitely, because new stack will contain no element. Okay, so usually when you create any stack, so it will not contain any value, right? And if you apply isEmpty function, definitely it is going to return true. This is one axiom. Okay, this is one axiom property. This is one property. Okay, now the other axiom can be, if you apply pop operations, yes, can you have any doubt? Okay, so if you apply pop operations onto new stack, what it is going to tell you? So your new operation, new stack is actually a stack with no elements, right? And if you apply pop operation, what will happen? It will definitely going to give you an error, exception. So that is what. So if you apply new stack, if you apply top operation onto a new stack, it is also going to return error because there is no element in that particular stack, right? And the other thing is, now you can see, now there is a push operation, okay, and this push operation is applied onto a new stack operation. Now the new stack, whenever you have a new stack operation, so usually a stack is created, right? It's an empty stack. Now to which you wanted to push an element G. Okay, when you pushed that particular element, what will happen? So now this element G is pushed onto the stack, right? Now that is the only top of that particular stack, right? Now if you apply top of that particular element, so usually it is going to give you that element, right? So now you can apply certain axioms, right? You can have certain number of axioms through which you can prove, or you can you can prove certain properties of the system. Okay. So now you can see this how we have developed specification for the stack. Okay. Now so if you wanted to see, let's say you can apply all of these operations. Okay. So this can be one of the assignment you can think. You go to the home and then you can try out this and what it is going to give you, right? So you apply all of those operations, top and push, whatever the operations that we have developed, and there is a new stack operation, right? Applying all of these things, you can evaluate any sort of problem. You know, if your operations are there, then you can specify any sort of problems, right? So now, so you can see this can be one axiom, right? Again, you can see this can be one axiom. If you apply this axiom, okay, so top up, push, pop, push, these all operations, okay. If you evaluate these all axioms, so ultimately it is going to give you x4. Okay. So this is true no matter what representation of the stack you choose to implement it. Okay. Whether you apply you apply linked list to implement the stack, or you apply arrays to the stack. So whatever the implementation you have, so your answer always going to give is x4 only. So that means, so I mean you will not have two different interpretations. Okay, you will always have the single interpretation. Okay. So now if you're going through any formal methods techniques, so usually you can remove all ambiguities. So we'll continue in the next lecture, okay, because you have another lecture after this. So I try to give break. Any questions so far before I stop this?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, I have some doubt in today's questions.
I mean exams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can ask me. You can call me over phone. Okay, I will explain you. Okay, because now you have to leave again. You have another lecture at 1 o'clock, right? So that's the reason why I'm trying to end now, and you can ask that over phone. So I stop the recording, and then I'm going to take the